Hello folks, it's time for another From the Hip. So let's raise that God-loving or godless goblet, trademark, and we're going to toast today difference, faith and also lack of faith. Now, as all of you know by now, I should imagine, I am not a person of faith. I don't believe in the God of the Bible or the deity of Jesus of Nazareth. I haven't seen evidence of it to give me that belief. That's for many reasons, but fundamentally for me it comes down to a few things that lead me to that conclusion. And that's my rights, that's fine, that's dandy. We don't need to create issues where they don't exist. However, I think it's good for people of faith to remember that just because one does not have a faith, does not have a belief in a deity, that they are somehow more susceptible to sinning, not being able to have morals, as if morals belong to a deity. And that's something that I find quite sad and disappointing when that happens. It doesn't happen so often now, I must say. That is a good thing. But it does come up from time to time. This issue that if you don't have a faith, you can't be moral. Well, of course you can be moral without a faith. Of course you can. It's happening all over the planet. There are many, many people who do not hold a faith, who are very, very good people, and would fulfill pretty much the message of the gospel in so much as treating other people with kindness and so forth. Most people, I think, would fit the broad concepts as outlined in the Gospels. And so all of these people haven't known the God of the Bible. Some of these people have never heard of the God of the Bible, and yet they are able to broadly fulfill the ideas of the gospel, loving your neighbour as yourself. So it's entirely possible for someone not to have a faith, or to have a different faith, and be a good, moral, outstanding person. Now, the reason I say that is because, sadly, that's one of the things that the Watchtower destroys, is the ability to understand that other people can be moral too, other people can be good too, who don't believe what we believe. Depending on how long you've been inside that, the harder and deeper it gets driven in. Anyone who is godless is immoral. And that is the equation that they hammer into our heads. And it's simply wrong, isn't it? When you think about it. There are many people out there who've never heard of the God of the Bible, the God of the Jewish people, the God of Christians, the God of Muslims. They've never heard of that God, and yet they still fulfill the basic tenets of that gospel message. So what does that tell us for those of faith and for those who don't have it? Well, for someone without faith like me, I would put our decency, our sense of moral obligation, our sense of justice, all of these good positive things I would trace them back to an evolutionary point. We are fundamentally social creatures. We've further solidified that social nature of our lives by farming and living in cities. And so that's even closer association with other people who won't necessarily be members of our family. And so the need to associate, the need to be a social creature to get things done has been a very useful part of us to come up with these things. Part of the beauty of our consciousness is that we can empathise. We can walk in our imaginations in the shoes of somebody else. We can understand that another human being has a basic, broad similarity to oneself. No one experiences the world exactly the same, but I know if I pinch someone they won't like it. I know if I slap them in the face they'll slap me back, but I also know that if someone's fallen over and I help them up, they'll appreciate it because I would. We know to a broad extent the results of what we do. And that we don't need to have a faith or not have a faith. That's irrelevant. We can understand these things. So morality doesn't belong solely to those with faith. It simply doesn't. Faith from a person who has a belief in God came from God. All these morals came from God. And human beings can't keep them. Well, people are keeping the broad message pretty effectively. But there need not be a conflict here. When you consider from a faith point of view, if you're a Christian, the Bible clearly says that every single human being is a son or daughter of God the Father. That's what the Bible says. So we're all God's children. And therefore, from a faith point of view, all of us will have a basic moral code that God wanted us to have, built into us. Now, whether that's true or not, I'll leave that to other people to decide. It's not for me to say. We need to realise that we were once very arrogant people. If we were a fully indoctrinated Jehovah's Witness, we were arrogance personified. We thought we were the best thing ever. We were going to live forever in a paradise earth and pick your epithet. That was our destiny, wasn't it? All we had to do was obey and we'd get there. Then we leave and we realise that we're one of billions of human beings. And we all have our skills and we'll have our gifts and we'll have good things going for us. But a lot of us won't have had the benefits of an education. We won't have had the benefits of just freedom of mind to go and explore and find something we were good at and excel at it. So, in other words, we will be backwards, we will be stunted when we are back into the world. We won't have necessarily a lot of the things that people who weren't raised in a high control group have. And that's a very bitter pill to swallow. It really is. I didn't like having to take on that one, I must admit. But it has to be done. And the next step is to say, hey, you know what? That wasn't my fault. Especially if you were born in. Hey, that wasn't your fault, it wasn't my fault. But yet that stunted development still exists. And one of the things we need to let go of is this black and white thinking, this idea that our morals are somehow better than other people's, our lifestyle is better than other people's, etc. We're all just human beings, aren't we? We've been in a cult, we've been damaged, we've been harmed. Some, sadly, much more brutally. than others. But all of us have been damaged, and all of us will have to face these stunted developments in our consciousness, in our personalities, in our gifts and abilities. And we've just got to do the best we can with what we have. But I'm not arrogant enough, thank goodness, to think that I have the right way. Everyone should join the Excelsior party, or everyone should come and subscribe to my channel, and I should have like 1 million followers, and I should better, say to people, go and do something, they'll do it. That terrifies me, and I'm very, very pleased to say that there's no possible chance of that happening. So actually, I'm very pleased about that. Who needs followers? Who needs the pressure of that? No, thank you very much. Now I have my little off-the-hip chats where I just talk and point the camera at my rather better-haired alter ego, and I just have a chat and talk about things. But that's something that I did want to raise up, those points. Morality is not the sole possession of people with faith. People without faith can be, and a lot of them are, very moral people. Also, that morals change depending upon your culture. Is there an overarching moral code that can apply to all human beings? Who knows? That's a good one to think about, isn't it? But I like very much the gospel message of do unto others as you would like others to do to you. And I think that's a nice positive way to look at the world. But it does have its problems. You can't just go out and assume that everybody's a lovely person once you get out of the Jehovah's Witnesses. There are some real messed up, scummy people out there. And you don't want to be giving everything to them and giving all your time and effort to people. You need to be careful to be kind and good to a sensible degree. To a degree that fits your personality, your circumstances. Remember, the Watchtower always said you weren't doing enough. Well, remember what Jesus said. He said that, look, when you're weary and loaded down, come to me and I'll refresh you. And he said his burden was light. Now that doesn't mean that you have to slack off and don't do anything, but it does mean that you do get the chance to breathe, to be at peace, to solve some of the problems you've got and not have to be worrying about everybody else all the time. So there's lots of lovely things to be found in the gospel message. There really are. There's lots of things there that I think most people, in fact the vast, vast majority of people, would agree with. So there's no need for any conflict. I certainly have a lot of friends on YouTube and online who are very sincere Christians and who I love and respect very much. They're really good people. And I'm pleased that they have a faith that helps make them happy and gives them a sense of self and sense of place, and it's made them very, very happy and good people. So let's hope that all people can be like that with their Christianity. I think it's time for some shout outs. Now, I've been watching the astonishingly good work of Alexandra James /jwvictims.org, and her videos are really, really brilliant, so I would encourage everyone to go over there. Mine are really rubbish, so go over there and watch some really good videos made by a very intelligent, very nice, very good woman. I think you'll love them. I'd also like to give a shout out to Mike and Kim, who I haven't shouted out for ages. I love you guys. Hello Mark and Cora, good luck to you. Hope everything's going well with you. And everybody, just have a good day. Peace be with you. Excelsior!